All right, so I know I said earlier that I was going to be doing a Montang, just kind of collection overview. Uh, but since shooting that video only, I don't know, a couple hours ago, my sense of smell and taste has now gone away. It's slightly there, just a little bit still. I actually poured myself. There's a company it's based out of Scotland, and they came over to the U.S. It's called Brewdog. It's really good. Anybody who's local to Ohio, I know they have brewery in Columbus as well as in Cincinnati. They have IPAs that are really good. Beers are good in general, but anyway, one of their IPAs, it's called Elvis Juice, and it's a grapefruit-based IPA. It's a very strong, kind of very just. It's got a lot of flavor to it, and so I poured myself that to see if I could taste this because I was eating earlier, couldn't taste it. Really tried several different things, and so then I poured this to try to see if I could taste it, and it's slightly. But being that this is a fragrance review channel, I don't think it's going to do me much good to give you my review and input on fragrances if I can't smell them. So, kind of at an impasse here. But what I did think this might be a good opportunity for me to do, and something I had been asked to do and been meaning to do for some time now, is just to do kind of a follow-up video, and this is going to be unscripted. Obviously, this is going to be kind of off the cuff, just I guess an updated version of my original Clone House video, where I kind of just talked about clones in general, talked about my opinions on clone houses, the different clone houses, pros and cons to each. Just give an update. When I did that video in the past, I mean, that was, I don't know, a while back. I have had experiences with a bunch of different clone houses since then. I've had good and bad experiences with houses that, were on the other end in the past. So my preferences and my viewpoint on a lot of houses has changed, as well as kind of my overall look at clone houses. Okay, so this is just going to be that. And I warn you right now, this is going to be kind of just an ongoing, like I said, unscripted word vomit, basically. So I'm just going to go through the clone houses that I've reviewed, my takes on them, and then I am also going to go over a just kind of general discussion about clone houses, okay? And how I want to do that, I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to talk about the clone houses first and then get into that. Again, this is unscripted. But, well, let's just do this. So there was for a while a lot of discussion in the community as to whether or not clone houses were in fact creating their own fragrances, or if they are buying pre-made oils and mixing them with perfumer's alcohol and or additional fixatives and then making their own fragrances. And that's a debate that's going to be going on for some time now. And I think it really depends on the clone house. But my viewpoint on that is twofold here. One is, does it really matter? In the sense that, take Dua for example, right? Massam, anybody who's seen my other videos, Massam has continually put himself out there as if he's in the lab, as if he's creating these fragrances, as if he's sourcing these natural ingredients from, wherever, all over the world. He's matching one-to-one to Roja fragrances, which, just because you got lavender and you're matching it with lavender does not mean it's the same quality of ingredients, for example. But even if that were true, do I believe that? No. Nor do I think any of you should believe that. It's just the same as when he finds ingredients last minute during a sale and is able to pump out a bunch of bottles that, minutes later. If those were actually raw natural ingredients, it'd be impossible to do. Or even if they weren't, even if he was sourcing oils from somewhere, that'd be literally impossible to do if he's creating them how he's saying he's creating them. Now, they're doing that because it's just the whole fear of missing out. He's always had that on hand. He's just lying about quantity to generate that. But it doesn't matter. What I'm getting to, and I'm getting off track here. In the end of the day, either they're buying oils from a company who is making them, one of the distributors, most of them, the main ones are in the Middle East, okay? Those companies are using a machine and breaking down the fragrances with that machine and then reproducing those fragrances in fragrance oil and selling them to companies, okay? Or the alternative, Sam's paying company Y, XYZ to do the same thing. It doesn't really matter, right? Either this company's on your payroll and you're paying them money to create and replicate a fragrance for you with their chemists, with their machines, or you're buying something already made that was already a clone of whatever fragrance, and you're just purchasing it directly. There's really no difference. It's the same thing. So to me, in the end, it doesn't matter. Now, do I think any of these companies are making them themselves? Do I think Dua do I think Musam's in a lab? Hell no. Do I think Haney's in a lab? Absolutely not. Do I think Devin's in a lab? No. Do I think Kevin, Mike, any of these people are in a lab making their own clones? Absolutely not. Okay? And I've also seen videos of people saying you can't take fragrance oil and mix it with perfumer's alcohol and make a fragrance. And that doesn't work. That wouldn't work, as if they won't mix together. Well, that's an absolute lie. It absolutely does work, and anybody who's interested can go ahead and purchase, whether it's from U.S. Oil Perfumery or whoever, fragrance oils and mix it with perfumer's alcohol. It works 100%. Now, will it be the same quality as wherever they're sourcing the oils from? Probably not. And that's what sets apart the different clone houses. It's ultimately the quality of oils they're using, where they're getting the oils from, basically, and the quality, okay? Lower quality oils are going to put out a subpar product, as well as the concentration. How much are they diluting that? Because if you get a fragrance oil, say it's a 100 ml bottle, and you dilute it with a crap load of perfumer's alcohol to the point where, performance and projection are going to be trash just because you want to make a couple extra bucks, obviously that's going to hurt performance, and that's not going to be attractive either. Okay, the scent profile will still be good, but then you got companies like Dua who want to amp that up. Okay, so they take these fragrance oils from these companies and they add a ton of fixatives. They add a ton of Ambroxan, load it with Ambroxan and Nice Super. Musam used to show himself dumping, somebody dumping a container full of the fixatives into the vat. Again, I doubt it was him because I don't think he's at the lab. But that's what gives it the Dua power, okay? Because it not only is it a high concentration, which most clone houses do already, but then they're loading it with fixatives. Now, what that does, unfortunately, is anybody who smelled a Dua compared to, say, in Alexandria, the openings are off, and there's always this kind of scent, and a lot of people pick up from the Dua. It says in all the Duas. Some people say it smells like an almond. Some people say it's got this kind of harshness to it, but they all have that Dua dry down. It's a fixative that's in there. So not only is the opening changed significantly, which makes it to a lot of people not like the original and also kind of off-putting, but it has this dry down that just smells like fixatives. And I think a lot of what that is, honestly, anybody who's smelt ISO-E Super by itself, it has that woody kind of almondy dry down. And I think they're just loading it with that. So much ISO-E Super that's what you're smelling. So that's my take. Now, whether or not you think that's ethical, whether or not you think, clone houses should be doing that, I don't know. I mean, it provides options for people. I'm certainly not going to go drop a bunch of money on perfumer's alcohol and a million different fragrance oils to make my own. So I still think they have a place. Okay. Now, what bothers me are the people who put themselves out there like they are in the lab making their fragrances. In one particular house, more so than everyone else does this. And it's almost the most comical, and that is none other than the House of Dapper Fragrances. They have their shills all over YouTube. They knew they were out in the past for using wholesale body oils. They don't use them anymore. They switched to fragrant body oils. If you go to their website, fragrantbodyoils.com, the catalog for Dapper is nearly identical one-to-one with what they offer on their website. Moreover, the releases drop at the exact same time that they're available on fragrantbodyoils.com. So, yeah, that is what it is. You can save your money. Just go to fragrantbodyoils.com, purchase your oils there if you're buying Dapper, okay? But I can say this, not all the clone houses, and this is why you get that differences, are using the same fragrance oils. And the reason is, like I said, there's at least 3 main Middle Eastern oil suppliers, okay? And then even within those 3 main Middle Eastern oil suppliers, there are different grades of oils you can purchase, okay? So depending on how much the house is trying to make profit, they could order the normal generic oils. There's A oils, there's A plus oils, there's A plus plus oils, sometimes even better oils than that. And then there's different parts of the world those oils can come from. You can get oils from France. You can get oils from the Middle East. You can get oils from a million different areas. So that plays into it. There's also U.S. distributors of oils. Now, usually the U.S. distributors of oils are not as good. This is where fragrance body oils comes into play, or wholesale body oils or something like that. But, yeah, so that's that. Now, quality-wise, I think there's definitely a higher tier when the quality goes in the fragrance community as far as clones. And I think at the top, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, you definitely have some that are towards the top, and there's a lot of smaller clone houses that can kind of go in there. But the 2 most known are obviously Alexandria and Dua. And I think the quality would be closer if Dua didn't load theirs full of fixatives, like I said. Had Dua just taken similar oils to what Alexandria uses and not loaded it with all the fixatives, I think the opening would be much better and wouldn't have that harshness. I think they would smell a lot more identical. Because I think they both are probably investing in the grade A oils. So I don't think that's the problem. I think it's just all the crap that Dua adds into theirs. You know, and in price point though, that's why you get a lot of times people are like, well, price per mil is not really, doesn't make sense. And I agree. I think sometimes the original is cheaper than some of these clones. You know, and that's certainly a consideration, you know, that something you should take into consideration when you're deciding what clone house to go with. Then you have houses like Sensual Obsessions, King Fragrances, and Making Sense. They all have good quality clones, good quality oils, affordable prices, and from my point of view, good owners. They're not as big as Dua, not as big as Alexandria. They do put out quality products, and all 3 of them are at a better price point. You know, so I think in a genre, I would put in there too. Those are all, I think, best price. The best clone houses for the price, okay, in my opinion, are those. Then you got houses like Dapper, which are overpriced and put out subpar products. You got 3-in-1. You got some other houses I'm not even going to name, you know, that are there as well. Or like alt fragrances, which isn't, in my opinion, has been not very memorable. I know a lot of people are fans of Sammy Andras, and I don't have any issue with him. I just haven't been a big fan of his fragrances, the ones I've tried. Montaigne makes pretty good fragrances. The quality is definitely there. They smell very natural. The catalog's not that big, and some of those just don't perform very well. And that's kind of another knock on, generally on Genre is, I love genre. I love Devon. The price point is unbeatable. $25 for 30 mil, but they don't last that long. They smell great though. Most of them smell really good. Price point, you can't really complain a whole lot. But I do think Sensual Obsessions, Making Sense, and certainly King Fragrances, they all have higher concentrations. You think Essentials is around 30 or 33. I think Making Sense is around that too, and King's is like 43%. So you're definitely getting a stronger, longer lasting fragrance. But I think Sensual Obsessions is around 35. Making Sense, I think, is around 30 something, 30 maybe. And then King's is 30 as well. So they're slightly more than, genre too. So again, just another factor to consider. Yeah, so it's kind of where I'm at now. Back to Dapper. To me, it's so comedic. I mean, they don't even try to like switch up when they release the products. It's literally as they become on the Fragrant Body Oil website, they list it on their Facebook group. And again, what is so annoying about it is it's like Travis is back in the lab, or coming out with constant heat. It's like you're not coming out with anything. You're buying oils at a discounted price from fragrantbodyoils.com. You're adding perfumer's alcohol to it and selling it for 800% profit or whatever it is. So anyway, that is Dapper is not a house I would recommend anymore. And there's other houses I wouldn't recommend that I haven't mentioned. So take that for what it is. But like I said, I think price-wise, if you're taking everything into consideration, performance, price, and just overall quality and stuff, I really do like Sensual Obsessions. I like Making Sense, and I like King Fragrances. I think those are great. If price isn't an issue, then you can get into Alexandria. I think is probably the best quality, mostly across the board. Dua, if you're a fan of Dua, that's fine. A lot of those come close to Alexandria, but they just fill them with additives, and to me, it ruins it a lot. It ruins the scent profile, and even more so than that, recently they've been rushing that. Like all their new releases that I have tried prior to getting kicked out of the group and banned, I didn't really care for. Because they're pushing out so many, and again, it's not them. It's not like Massam's and he's speeding up. He's got 2 beakers going at once. It's the companies they're paying to make this shit, or the ones that they're buying it from, are rushing the fragrances probably based on them wanting to be able to push out more. Or at the very least, they're just not letting anything macerate at all. And that could also be why it's coming off that way. And so they're just buying a lot of oils from these companies, mixing them together real quick, throwing them on the website, and then having you all buy them. So that is that. Again, this isn't a knock on clone houses. I buy from clone houses. I will continue to buy from clone houses. I just think it's hilarious, the illusion that people want you to think that any of these people, who, mind you, are not chemists, became overnight perfumers and are replicating fragrances that cost God knows how much money to make in their basements. It's not happening. Okay? It's not happening. Never was happening. But, again, it's either that or you go out and you source the oils yourself. You buy perfumer's alcohol yourself. You buy fixatives if you want to. You buy the bottles, buy the labels. You could do that too. It's really up to you. But like I said, that's kind of where I'm at. I think my personal most disappointing fragrance houses, again, were Alt, Dapper, 3-in-1, and then Monarch Parfums. Not Montaigne, but Monarch. They're cheap, but they're not strong at all. And they kind of dropped off the map. I don't even think they're still really around. So those are probably my least favorite. Yeah, like I said, I think the Smaller houses that are a better price point right now is kind of where it's at, where I would purchase clones from. But I've always been a fan of Alexandria, and I will continue to be a fan of Alexandria. I mean, they smell really good. Always have. So they're just a little more pricey, and they're getting more pricey. Since they got new bottles now, the pricing just keeps going up, and it's getting to a point where I don't know. I don't really foresee myself buying a whole lot more in the future at that price point. Anyway, if any of you have any questions about any clone houses, or follow-up questions to what I said, or want to challenge anything I said, that's fine too. I am all open to opinions and viewpoints that are different than mine. And just to be clear, this is my opinion. I could in fact be wrong. Sam could in fact be a chemist. He could be a master perfumer. He could be in his basement making fragrances. Same with all these other fragrance clone house owners. It's a possibility. Highly unlikely, but sure. So, anyway, yeah, that's where I'm at, and yeah, I don't know. Honestly, when the first time I brought this up, it surprised me that so many people thought this was like some kind of surprising, like new information, right? Like, you all thought that somebody was actually in their basement making this, or like they had laboratories and then they were going in and making it? Like, I don't know. To me, it was just like, this is common sense, right? There's no way. Especially the amount of fragrances have these places dropping on a weekly basis. Anyway, that's not a knock on you all. To me, I kind of thought this was more common knowledge. But yeah, let me know. Let me know what other videos you'd like me to make, because like I said, right now I can't really do a whole lot of fragrance reviews because I can't smell. If there's anything else you want me to do, or hell, I could even do a live, maybe do a live video at some point. We could have a discussion on it. That's cool. Or any other videos or content you would like to see from me. In the meantime, while I have COVID, more than happy to hear from you all.